The Traditionalist School was a group of 20th-century thinkers concerned with what they considered to be the demise of traditional forms of knowledge, both aesthetic and spiritual, within Western society. The principal thinkers in this tradition are René Guénon, Ananda, Coomaraswamy and Frithjof Schuon. Other important thinkers in this tradition include Titus Burckhardt, Martin Lings, Jean-Louis Michon, Marco Pallis, Huston Smith, Hossein Nasr, Borella and Julius Evola.A. A central concept of this school is that of the perennial philosophy based upon an ancient belief that all the world's great religions share the same origin and are, at root, based on the same metaphysical principles. These ideas are sometimes referred to in the Latin as philosophia perennis, people. The ideas of the Traditionalist School are considered to begin with René Guénon. Other people considered traditionalists include Titus Burckhardt, Borella, Ananda, Coomaraswamy, Martin Lings, Jean-Louis Michon, Marco Pallis, Huston Smith, Hossein Nasr, Frithjof Schuon and Julius Evola.A. René Guénon. A major theme in the works of René Guénon is the contrast between traditional worldviews and modernity, which he considered to be an anomaly in the history of mankind. For Guénon, the physical world was a manifestation of metaphysical principles, which are preserved in the perennial teachings of the world religions, but were lost to the modern world. For Guénon, the malaise of the modern world lies in its relentless denial of the metaphysical realm. Early on, Guénon was attracted to Sufism, which he saw as a more accessible path of spiritual knowledge. In 1912, Guénon was initiated in the Shadili order. He started writing after his doctoral dissertation was rejected, and he left academia in 1923. His works center on the return to these traditional worldviews, trying to reconstruct the perennial philosophy. In his first books and essays he envisaged a restoration of traditional intellectuality in the West on the basis of Roman Catholicism and Freemasonry. He gave up early on a purely Christian basis for a traditionalist restoration of the West, searching for other traditions. He denounced the lure of theosophy and neo-occultism in the form of Spiritism, two influential movements that were flourishing in his lifetime. In 1930 he moved to Egypt, where he lived until his death in 1951. Ideas, perennial philosophy and the loss of tradition. According to the Traditionalist School, the primordial and perennial truth is manifested in a variety of religious and spiritual traditions. Coomaraswamy explains, the metaphysical philosophy is called perennial because of its eternity, universality, and immutability. It is Augustine's wisdom uncreate, the same now as it ever was and ever will be. The religion which, as he also says, only came to be called Christianity after the coming of Christ, and so long as the tradition is transmitted without deviation. According to the Traditionalist School, this truth has been lost in the modern world through the rise of novel secular philosophies stemming from the Enlightenment, and modernity itself is considered as an anomaly in the history of mankind. Traditionalists see their approach as a justifiable nostalgia for the past. Frithjof Schuon explains, Traditionalism, like esotericism, has nothing pejorative about it in itself. If to recognize what is true and just is nostalgia for the past, it is quite clearly a crime or a disgrace not to feel this nostalgia. Return to tradition. The Traditionalist School insists on the necessity for affiliation to one of the normal traditions, or great ancient religions of the world. The regular affiliation to the ordinary life of a believer is crucial, since this could give access to the esotericism of that given religious form. Influence. Traditionalism had a discrete impact in the field of comparative religion, particularly on the young Michon, although he was not himself a member of this school. Contemporary scholars such as Huston Smith, William Chittick, Harry Oldmeadow, James Cutzinger and Hossein Nasr have advocated perennialism as an alternative to secularist approach to religious phenomena. Through the close affiliation with Sufism, the traditionalist perspective has been gaining ground in Asia and the Islamic world at large. Association with far-right movements. The Traditionalist School has been associated with far-right movements. Critics of traditionalism cite its popularity among the European Nouvelle Droite, while Julius Evola's were used by Italian fascists during the years of lead. Mark Sedgwick's Against the Modern World, published in 2004, gives an analysis of the Traditionalist School and its influence. A number of disenchanted intellectuals responded to Guénon's call with attempts to put theory into practice. Some attempted without success to guide fascism and Nazism along traditionalist lines. Others later participated in political terror in Italy. Traditionalism finally provided the ideological cement for the alliance of anti-democratic forces in post-Soviet Russia, and at the end of the 20th century began to enter the debate in the Islamic world about the desirable relationship between Islam and modernity. In his book Guénon à la renversement des clartés, the French scholar Xavier Eckart questions the connection sometimes made between the Traditionalist School and far-right politics. According to Eckart, René Guénon was highly critical of Evola's political involvements, and was worried about the possible confusion between his own ideas and Evola's. Guénon also clearly denounced the ideology of the fascist regimes in Europe before and during the World War II. Xavier Eckart finally claims that the assimilation of René Guénon with Julius Evola and the confusion between traditionalism and a new right can be traced back to Louis Pauwels and Berger's The Morning of the Magicians. Ananda Benoist, the founder of the Nouvelle Droite, declared in 2013 that the influence of Guénon on his political school was very weak and that he does not consider him as a major author.